To D&D players, what's the best moment you've had in a game? Had a wizard with a pet frog. He carried the fucking frog around with him, and would occasionally get a little weird with it. Real intimate with this frog, if you know what I mean. He liked this frog. One night we get stopped by some highwaymen on the road. Their leader approaches the party and tells us to lay down our weapons or die, and points a sword at the wizard. The wizard reaches out and casts a spell to banish this guy to another dimension temporarily, while simultaneously sleight of handing out his damn frog. He holds the frog up and goes, "Put your weapons down. I'm the greatest wizard in the world, and I've turned your leader into a frog. Put your shit down, or I strangle this frog and do the same to the rest of you." Then he looks at us and whispers, "Wrap this shit up quick, I really don't want to kill this fucking frog." I ran a campaign with some friends and brought my brother into the fold for the first time ever. He's a marine, and was playing one of my pre-mades, Johnny Redsword, a human warrior. I planned a risky gambit at the end of one of the sessions. To split the party. One of the players, a halfling, was recuperating upstairs at an inn when he is kidnapped by a team of goblins who have a cart waiting outside below the room's window. The rest of the party arrives just as the kidnapping is taking place, and a fine battle begins in earnest. My intention was to end the session once the kidnappee is out the window and have the remaining goblins book it. A fast exit that would broker no chase. My brother had other ideas. No man left behind. Johnny Redsword grabs a fleeing goblin and pulls him back inside, effectively continuing the session since I won't end a game mid-battle. Then he bursts out the window after the cart, which opts to leave without the last goblin. He is followed in short order by the rest of the troops. Someone aims an arrow at a cartwheel and rolls a nat 20, dropping its speed. Redsword is chasing down the cart, which is still rolling at a fair clip, and eventually gets on board. The halfling, who has been stuffed in a bag, is frantically rolling saves against poison, and succeeding some modified grapple checks to get out of the bag that a goblin is now sitting on. Goblins are being thrown off the cart and shredded by the ground crew, and anyone left on board is being run through by Redsword. The halfling finally makes his way out of the bag and stabs a goblin. Finally, the only living NPC is the cart mule, that they adopt. The cart is entirely destroyed. An extra hour of unscripted gameplay that was entirely awesome. Johnny Redsword, I'm gonna turn this cart into a fucking hearse. Dude, Johnny Redsword is my fucking hero. I was the DM and one of our players pulled something off that turned the entire campaign on its ear and started a whole new campaign. To make a long story short, one of our players had met and married a female NPC. She then became part of the party, but had very limited skills. The party had to be in two places at once, so they decided the NPC and the rogue would go to this nearby town for a meeting they were set to be at, and the rest of the party would go free an ally of theirs that had been captured. The rogue ended up selling the NPC wife to a slaver, then told the group that they had been attacked and she had been taken after he was knocked out. The party rallied together to go get her back. They rescued the girl and she told them the truth. The rogue ran and the party went after him. Both sides had allies, so it started a war between them, but ultimately the group had to come back together to face the main villain. After they defeated him, the rogue left and the rest of the party gathered up the treasure and went to an inn to celebrate. The rogue, however, had planned for this. He poisoned the barrel of ale, killing most of the party and the other people in the pub and seriously injuring those who did not die. With the party dead and dying, he gathered up the treasure and left. Edit: there have been a lot of people asking how we kept things secret from each other so the different players didn't know about the plans of other players. It was the 1980s, so there was no internet, email, or texting, but we managed. I answered it here if you are curious. Edit number 2, thanks so much for the gold. Edit number 3, for those who want to know how the campaign turned out, here are my posts on that. Not a single moment, but a feeling. Days after a session, a player made the offhand comment that things are going really well and they are having a lot of fun. That's it. They've had such a great time, that it comes back to them later and moves them to comment on it. Those moments where the players are laughing so hard they forget to actually play because of their running commentary on how the quest is unfolding. That's one of the big ones. I don't interrupt them, but sit back and watch them. Yeah, I got months of material written up that I want to get to, but this is what it's about. These moments. The goat. Forget manticores, the goats in this area are what you got to watch out for. I'm not immature, I'm 17 and a half. You're trying to start dirt on fire, it's not going to work. We should have an affair. I roll to see if we make out. Oh, a 2, I guess we don't. Our group has had 3 DMS now. One moved, another just wasn't enjoying it, and then I gave it a shot and things really clicked. I got my brother-in-law, my wife, my college buddy, and my long-lost middle school friend all at my table. It's literally the best thing in my life right now because it's bringing some of my favorite people together to really just sit around and have as much fun as we can. It's like those images you see of characters around a table, bantering, arguing, plotting, counting coin. You know, sorta Rockwellian but in fantasy. Only, it's happening in reality right in front of me. I don't drink nearly as much because I gotta stay on top of initiative and plot. I'm shuffling those papers. My wife cooks everyone a dish, a pot steaming in the background. She loves watching them mow down the food, taking seconds and thirds. My longtime friend goes on and on about his life. He broke me out of my shell in grade school and we've reconnected through this game. My brother-in-law pages through the books, pointing out neat things he reads. Yes, we know it already, but it's great to hear him excited. My college buddy tries fishing his dye out of his beer bottle. He wasn't sure it would fit in there, but it did. Ugh. I just sit back and watch. It's perfect. I love D&D and I love my life. When, after about 16 hours of gaming, the one girl in our group gave that look at one of the guys in our group. Their characters has just completed a rough campaign which included them getting married, plus lots of sexually suggestive things going on. They left together. And showed up together a day later with well-fucked facial expressions. And got married the year after graduation. Still married 32 years later. Turns out the DM had set the whole thing up because they had been sort of dancing around being attracted to each other. We geeks aren't good at the whole human communication thing. This probably isn't the greatest but we get really batshit crazy a lot of the time and this was recent. Me and my friends have been playing for a few years and we had some new people with us. I am a half-orc fighter for this with low int, so I played myself a little dopey. I made friends with a shopkeeper and slept in his shop because I didn't trust the inn owner. New player is a rogue and wants to break into the shop wearing a mask and sets off an alarm spell waking me up. In a panic I rush to the shopkeeper's aid thinking my new friend is in trouble, see a masked man breaking in and thinking it's a robber or murderer I rush him with my axe. One roll and the rogue is down. Take off the mask, realize my mistake and start trying to revive him causing more damage. This happened in 30 minutes from campaign start and was first combat. The campaign lasted 5 more hours and didn't get any better. The guy thought it was a fun intro to D&D though. I'll always be fond of utilizing a goblin colony's lesser intelligence against them. With a few wizards and a very charismatic rogue, me, we were able to convince these goblins that I was a god, seeking their help with a mission. In return, I was to give them powerful weapons required to defeat the land goblins that these cave dwellers hated so much. So, imagine, with the use of thaumaturgy, silent image, ghost sound, etc., a 100-foot, black-robed figure rising from fog in a flash of light and yelling at them with a voice that caused the cave to rumble. Fires flared and dimmed with my words, and these goblins were putty in my hands. With a little skill and a lot of luck, we managed to convince them, once we ended the spells, that my now normal-sized, 5-foot-some rogue girl, was the human form of the powerful god that just spoke to them. And they listened. We then went on to siege a town that was overrun with villains. This was done with copious amounts of alchemists' fire strapped to each goblin as we catapulted them over city walls, causing major destruction wherever they landed. These goblins truly believed this was their path to the ultimate goal of being the one ruling goblin colony. And all the better, because, at this point, our team still despised these little guys, but more on that later. Ultimately, my character died in the onslaught, struck down by our own weapons, 12 alchemists' fires at once in a closed room. We had these goblins believing I was their god so strongly that, in our nice little world, I actually did become a god of the cave goblins. My character awoke from death in her own ethereal plane, aptly named Gobhala, with her main goblin advisor, Gob Gob, by her side. To this day, whenever I'm DMing a game, even with totally different people, I'll always try to slip in a small tidbit about a black-robed goddess that players may or may not pick up on. It never means anything, but it's my way of keeping my very first Pathfinder character close to my heart. Having 2 members of my party forcefully shove a pocket watch up another, soon to be arrested, party member's arse, and then using locate object to find him. It got heated. His father's watch? He gimme de watch. And he held that uncomfortable him hunk of metal up his ass for 2 years. I once shot down an airship commanded by an evil robot zombie Santa Claus with a single lucky cannon shot as our own airship spiraled to the ground in a blazing inferno. The only reason our airship was going down was because I commandeered it from the captain in order to ram the other airship and failed. All the dwarves on board died because an elf took an entire lifeboat for himself. Fucking sharp hairs. I hate threads like these because they make me want to play D&D, which is hard because none of my friends play it or would be interested. ROLL20, yo.